All video clips contained on Football Talk with Coach Chip are meant for analysis, criticism, comment, teaching, and research by football coaches. We believe this falls under the fair use doctrine of the Copyright Act, Section 107. Hey, coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip. All right, today we're going to be talking about troubleshooting jet blocking. As y'all know, I open the phone lines up every weekend during football season, well, anytime, but primarily people want to do it during football season and ask me things. And the coach who asked about this scenario that we're going to cover in this video actually bought the jet manual. And like anything, it was 220 pages, and every cockeyed scenario can't be covered, or we would have something bigger than War and Peace. But that's why I said, hey, hit me up. When you get the jet manual, I become your jet consultant. And he took me up on that, and he hit me up yesterday, and we talked about it. And then this morning, we covered it some more about how to handle this when somebody walked the linebacker up. We're troubleshooting jet blocking. When do you consider a linebacker a defensive lineman? Instead of doing a bunch of commercials at the beginning like I always do, we're going to go ahead and get right into it, and I'll hit you up at the end and remind you about the things that we have available from Football Talk with Coach Chip. All right, let's get after it. All right, troubleshooting the jet. The coach that hit me up had this defense, and he was saying, like, well, what do we do? And they would run a great formation. This is a great jet formation. And I'll tell you why. They go end over. Well, really, it was tackle over because the tight end was back over here. Left the jetter over here by himself. He said, well, Coach, you don't have your backside access. Why is it such a great formation? Because with the extra blocker here, you can now put your H in what I call a sniffer set instead of a wing set. And you've got the power. See, they can run the power off this, fake the jet, and run true power because they've got this extra guy right here to do the kick out. Boom, boom. See? That's why this is a great formation. It's a little more difficult. You can do it. We did it and got away from it just because I liked it better when he was out in the wing. But when you don't have that tight end, you don't have that three-man surface to the jet side, and you put that H in the B gap, it can be a little tougher on that H getting out there and blocking number two, which is his assignment on jet. And so this is a great idea. I told Coach, this is brilliant that you do this end over. And he showed me several clips, sent me several clips in which he does it. We're going to look at those clips in a little bit. I got his permission. He said, anything to help, Coach. And I said, remind me, I can't remember, did you order the jet manual? And he said, I did. And I said, perfect. And I said, when we talked about some of the stuff in the jet manual and some of the things he could do. But the question, we're troubleshooting jets, when do you consider a linebacker a defensive lineman? It's not just on jet, it's on anything. And what I told him is, I don't care what the roster says. I don't care what the announcers call him. When this guy right here, this backer, is walked up, and you'll see it on the clip, his feet are even or almost even with the lineman's feet. He's not a linebacker anymore. I don't care what number he wears. I don't care what his mama says he is. I don't care that his position coach is the linebacker coach. And I don't care what the roster says. He may be listed with LB by his name. This dude is now a D lineman by alignment. In my world, in my book, he is a D lineman. In other words, you can't void him. So you can't say, all right, kind of like pin and pull rules. He's uncovered, so we're going to pull. You got to consider yourself covered. If a linebacker has walked up to the feet, and depending on the linebacker, but if he's walked up to the feet of the DL, he's considered a DL in my book. And this right tackle needs to consider himself covered, if that's the rules they're using, and not pull. And you'll see there's a great run through right there. And even the best time jet with the really fast jetter is going to have a hard time getting out when a guy that's technically a 4 or a 5 is voided by the line. And it wasn't that the tackle just flat out messed up. He pulled, and the defensive coordinator, walked him up a little bit. You know, guys, again, football's a democracy. The defense gets a vote. Their D coordinator voted pretty well. And so, well, Coach, what should we do? How would you handle it? Let me show you before we go to the video. The linebackers walked up to the feet of the DL. He's considered a DL. This linebacker should be treated, as I said, as a 4 or a 5 tech, because we don't know where he's going to fit. Is he going to come right down the middle and be a 4? Or is he going to come through the outside shoulder, which he probably will, and be a 5? So this tackle needs to stay at home. This tackle needs to stay at home and reach that D lineman. I know it says B. I know what it says, but he's walked up, so you got to treat him like one. Now, remember, my rule on the jet, anything from a 3 tech in, you can void it, unless you're throwing backside access, and obviously they're not, because there is nobody to throw backside access to. Everybody on the backside is going to full reach and scoop up the gap to their inside, to the play side, and then on the front side, you got to block everything from a 4-eye to the sideline. It's best to block everything from a 4-eye to the sideline. Now, if you got superlative timing and a jetter that can outrun the Word of God with a Bible under each arm, that's moving out, cats, you may get away with voiding a 4-eye and pulling it. We never did that. We had a kid that tried to position block a 4-eye years ago and near about got our jetter killed when we were under center. I'll never forget it. He won't either, because I gave him a lambasting. So when they walked up like that, you got to consider them a D lineman. You've got to block them. And remember, on jet, everything from a 4-eye out must be accounted for. Everything from a 3 in, from a 3 back, you can void that. All right, let's look at some film. Hey, coaches, before we get to the video portion of this episode of Football Talk with Coach Chip, just a reminder, as I record this, it's October 21st, 2024. We're trying to get to 3,500 subscribers by the 31st, by Halloween. I just checked. We're up to 30. We need 130 more in the next 10 days. Now, I'm not a mathematician, nor am I the son of a mathematician, but that's 13 subs a day. I need your help. I'm doing all I can do. Please share the channel and double check to make sure you're subscribing. I think if some of the regular viewers would check and they would subscribe, that'd probably put us over 3,500 subs. So please check to make sure you're subscribed. And if you are, share it with your friends, share it with your coaching buddies, put it on your social media. You got an email chain going or a text message chain going with some coaching buddies, share it in there. All you got to do is there's a share on the homepage of the YouTube channel. Click on share, copy the link, and then paste that into your message, your email, or your social media. Thank y'all. Okay, coaches, now here you see the formation I drew up on the card. We're going to get a reach from the over tackle here, the outside tackle, their tackle over, that's the tight end back over here at the top, and over here on the play side, that's the left tackle, or it could be the right tackle. The left tackle might be inside. But he's going to reach the DN. That's the rule. I remember he's number 1. Next guy's got number. He can't get number 2 because that's number 2 right there. The H has always got number 2, the way we block jet. So the H will get number 2, and then the outside tackle will get the DN. And they're pulling the play side tackle because this is a split 4 team. All right, now this kid is a kid. He said, that's a linebacker. That's not a lineman. I'm pulling. But if you'll look, and I know it's a little fuzzy, his feet are even with the feet of the D lineman. If he put his hand down and got in a stance, he'd be on the line of scrimmage, no questions asked. People would say, oh, they got another D lineman over there. Y'all see what I'm talking about? You got to count that guy. Now, I almost mentioned it earlier. I said, depending on the ability of the linebacker, and you get that through film study, He could be a little further back, and that week you may tell you, he say, hey, if he's walked up within a yard of the feet or whatever of the D line, consider him on the line because that kid's really quick, he's really fast, he can get there. So it does vary, but there is no question if they are right there, dude, he's on the line of scrimmage. You see what I mean? Look, his feet are parallel even with the feet of the D lineman. You've got to count him as a D lineman, regardless of what it says. So the question is, when do we count him? This is when you count him as a D lineman. Let's let it roll. You can see the jetter makes a whale of a play. You got to be a 250 power clean because he breaks that. Oop, look at that. The great hips, dude. You get that in the weight room and from God. And turned out like a 3 or 4 yard gain. That's pretty good considering the disaster it started at the beginning. So that's not horrible. You look at the other kids too. The tackle here does a good job reaching. Right here. Boom. And really and truly the guard should be pulling because that 2 or 3 tech D lineman, he ain't going to be there. He ain't running down that jet. If he running down that jet, you got no business running a jet, and that cat ain't got no business being in the backfield, which that's not the case. All right, here's the blown up shot. These cats, man, they got it. They got the wide shot, the tight shot, and the end zone shot. That tight shot and the end zone shot, old line coaches love that. And you can see it's not a bad job. I mean, the guy that pulled did a pretty good job. He just shouldn't have been pulling. And then the guard should have been pulling or nobody pulled at all because you can look in here. The 3 tech right there. Look at that. Dude, we could tell him the play is coming. Put his fanny in a 3 and not touch him. And he ain't making the play on jet. That's why we pull. If you time it up right, if you run the hump, and if you get your butt to the jungle. Now, this guy did a great job. The jetter, he avoids the tackle with the free runner. Can't have that. And still gets outside to the jungle. That's the green grass. I have one more thing I want to share with you. And let's go back a clip. Right here, I want to share this with you. Now, this is something you got to do, and I shared it with the coach. Right now. Now, boom. Get your butt back here and run the cockeyed hump. Run the hump. It gets you away from all that mess. And sometimes you can get away from a free runner if you do it that way. It will get you away from a free runner sometimes. That's why we run the hump. So when he gets the ball, and I told him, I said, Coach, when you do, he said, we're going to do the jet drill first thing Monday, Coach. I said, okay, cool. Make sure you put a cone about 5 yards deep right behind the end man on the line of scrimmage, whether it be the tackle, or whether it be the H, or whether it be the tight end. Because if you're in a 2-man surface and the H is in a wing position, count him as part of the line. So it'd be where the tight end would be or where the H would be. So the third guy from the center, right behind his butt, 5 yards deep, right here, is where you'd put that cone. And when he gets it, let's see if I can draw it. When he gets it, he needs to circle back and get behind that cone and kind of over-exaggerate it. And in the game, it'll come a little easier for him. Now, there's another reason for that, too. Because it's just like when you get depth on the buck with your pulling guards, you want to get depth with your jetter so he can better turn that angle out here and get downhill and get to the jungle, get to the green grass, because he's not as tight to the line of scrimmage. Does that make sense to you? Okay, as advertised, I said they got the end zone shot. So let's look. Here we go. Watch him. He comes right there. This is what we have to do, y'all. What you have to do. Sorry for the fuzz. All right, there's your center. There's your guard. There's your tackle. He's going to pull. what you need to do is he's got to reach, and you can see now that dude he's out of the frame. Okay, he's outside the tackle. So he's walked up. So he's a 5 technique. He's a 5 technique linebacker, and he's walked up. So now you got to count him on the D line. Does that make sense? I hope it does, and I hope this was some good troubleshooting for you, and can help you finish out the year strong as we're getting close to the last 2 or 3 weeks of high school football's regular season. All right, that's it for this episode of Football Talk with Coach Chip. And notice the Jet Manual is still available. That coach this weekend got more than what I just gave you. We talked for quite some time. I am his Jet consultant because he bought the Jet Manual. The offensive line manual for gap scheme blocking. Sold 3 last week. I said, Coach, I was thinking it's getting close to the end of the season, and they just volunteered the information. We're trying to clean some things up. One team was right at the end and weren't making the playoffs, and the other 2 were making the playoffs, and they were trying to sharpen up before they got there. Order yours today at siegel.chip@gmail.com. Also, the freebies, there's plenty of them. I just sent out one of the call sheets today. This team has 2 or 3 games left, and they said, we just really got tired of the old call sheet, and we want to try yours. It comes with a 2-point chart, like when to go for 2, when to kick it. It comes with a 4-minute offense, like when can you start taking a knee based on time, timeouts, and all that good stuff. That stuff is there. And, of course, the practice schedule is there as well. Both of these are Microsoft Excel files, so you can see what I've got in there, and then you can just plug in your own. And you can save mine if you want to and use it as a template, and then start you a new tab and just fill in your own right there. Had a guy this week, he asked for one of the freebies, and before I noticed he'd asked for a freebie, I got an alert that somebody had bought me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip. And he just voluntarily said, hey, I'm going to buy you a coffee. You've sent me stuff before. I'm sending, and you're going to send me this. So go to buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip and support the channel and, of course, the podcast, and we would appreciate it greatly. And that's just another commercial for the freebie. The sample practice schedule includes all the different install plans. It's got a 2 platoon, 1 platoon, and usually it's set up on 90 to 2 hour. There's several different ones, 90-minute to 2-hour practices. And there you go. That's the call sheet again. Gives you an idea what it looks like. Screenshots. And there's the freebie list. You can add to that the jet blocking that's not included. Pause it, screenshot it, go shopping. It's the best kind of shopping because it's free. As my son-in-law calls it, free 98. And I said, okay, it's free. So y'all head on over and check it out, and I'll send it to you quick as I can. Go to the podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify. I imagine it's on other platforms as well. I think 90% of the world uses Apple or Spotify, at least people I know. And it's about to be uploaded. Great conversation with Nick Lemke, a registered dietitian from Washington State, northwest corner of the USA. Has a lot of clients, a lot of young athletes, college and high school. Even had one, I think he said, that made it minor league ball and baseball. And he's a young dude himself, but he knows his stuff, y'all. Be sure you listen to that on your next workout, your next commute, your next walk or run, because that is some really good stuff. It's not up, as I say this, on Monday afternoon, but it's going to be up by late Monday night or Tuesday morning. It should be episode 21 on the podcast list, okay? All right. That's troubleshooting, jet blocking, as we get right down to the wire of regular season of high school football. So troubleshooting, jet blocking. When do you consider a linebacker a defensive lineman? You have to go back and watch the video to get the answer. Until next time, be elite.